If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Whoop! Buy our merch. I'm pretty sure that we just ended the commercial, but honestly, I cannot see anything. Ah! Hold on. Okay, yes, we did end the commercial. Okay, so we are doing the Savatage stream, the entire album, today half of it, and tomorrow the other half, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are doing Savatage, You're Alive, and Sammy and Tex back to back, without doing a break in between, because apparently they were meant to be played together. And then we'll break down both lyrics after. Shout out to Mojo, our DJ, for bringing us this experience. Mojo, I can totally see why you like this album. Sometimes when people show us music, I'm like, I don't get it. And then I rate it low. Unfortunately, we do have to do that. But with this stuff, I'm like, I get it. I get why you like this stuff. And I think that some of these songs are so relatable for all of us, even if you haven't been in the situation, like getting that deep into drugs or, being homeless because of it or whatever. So definitely enjoying that. Soon as Vinny gets back, we will jump into the next 2 songs. In the meantime, how is everybody doing tonight? I've got one of the comment sections pulled up, so I can kind of see a few of you guys. Yeah, Emily. Emily said, real love is preparing your kid for the harshness while showing them the beauty of the world. I agree with that. That's something that when my first child was born, I promised her that I was going to make sure that she was always safe and everything was good for her. And that was probably the worst promise to make, because that doesn't prepare them. If you're going to protect them from everything and you don't want them to ever feel anything, then they're not getting prepared for what life is like outside of your home, which is not good. So I've been kind of trying to resituate my head on that to actually be a better parent, which has been a little difficult.
Alright, let's go. You're Alive and Sammy and Rex or Tex?
Tex.
Sammy and Tex. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
We just made reference to a text
I know.
a few minutes ago. Okay. So, are we stopping after that, or are we doing it all just in one
He wants the whole thing played straight through, because he said that was when the first song ends, the second song almost immediately starts. So don't stop until the second song is complete. because apparently these two tracks were meant to be listened to back to back. So we're gonna do exactly what our DJ has asked.
He's the DJ. That's what happens when you're the DJ, dear listener. All right, let's do it.
Hatred is my formulated how this pimp would die. and Sammy's gone!
My man Sammy was like, yo.
He decided.
Sammy saw it in his eyes and decided the treat would be wise.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow, that's so terrible. So DT returned, which was DT Jesus.
So DT is downtown Jesus. So
Yeah.
when the guy was,
and then they called him Detox.
So, oh yeah, DT for detox. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that could go either way. He could either be downtown Jesus or he could be detox. The choice is yours. Gotham is yours. Okay, go ahead.
So that's so terrible. So he returns, and as soon as he's like the crowd comes in because they want to see a man that's back from the dead.
Yeah.
And that was like echoing in his head, but then it says like that the guy shows up
because they started making money again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they started making money again, and he must have owed him for something. And the guy was a pimp, so that means he must have owed him for services rendered.
Yeah,
right?
but that's funny because I assumed that it was because he was a drug dealer, so I assumed it was the guy that he was selling drugs for.
That he owed him money?
Yeah, because usually what ends up happening.
Get back on the re-up. Yeah,
well,
you're
usually
gonna
what
tell me
happens
what ends up happening.
Yeah, I do. Let me know with your bandana.
Yeah, please inform me. Inform me. I'm ignorant.
When they're selling,
I'm glad to be able to scholar of your panel.
Stop it!
Please tell me. I'm ignorant. I don't know. What do you have to say to us?
Stop it, babe.
Shout out to my man Christian Prince.
He's basically when they're a drug dealer and then all of a sudden they start using the drug, then they don't end up paying back the drugs that they owed, and then they've used the rest of them. So then he went off the rails.
Maybe that's Biggie why he said number 4. Know you heard this one before. Never get high on your own supply. That's probably why he was saying that, because he couldn't get back on the re-up.
Are you still mocking me?
Well, it's just funny because you're like, well, you know what happens when people sell drugs? I'm like, listen to this. Tell me, suburban person who didn't even know what a person looked like when they were high. Tell me how the drug game actually. Tell me how the drug game actually works in the inner city. Oh my gosh!
Why? Why do I sit here and take this from you? So anyway, I'm assuming that. Did it say that he? I thought that he said something. Hold on, that's
hey DT, what you been up to? It's been a real long time, and your bills are past due. Stop right there. Don't look away because you've had your fun. Now it's time to pay. So he's like checking him after a show, and he's like, "Man, trying to hear that shit, bro. I'm a rock star." And he's like, "Hey, we got kind of a conversation about this." Well, I've been waiting, and I'm really very patient, but you pushed me way too far because you owe me $30,000, and with interest, it's been growing while you've been hidden in these bars. What?
That's what I'm saying. Like, who decided the interest? Like, so he owed him money, and then he's like, also you're paying interest. So it's like, what is this number actually?
Yeah. No, I know.
And who decided the interest?
The mafia is really big on that too. Is loan sharking. Mm-hmm. They call it something else. I'm not going to tell you what they call it, but not on the stream because it's too. There's a racial connotation.
Oh! I thought it was because my suburban white self couldn't handle the information. Because then I might repeat it back to you as if I know something.
Now I would have said duck it. Is it really duck it or fuck it in there?
Well, are you on song 2 or song 1?
Song 2. We should probably go back to the first lyrics on the first song though. Okay.
The lyrics are not super long on the first one.
So the first one is "You're Alive." So DT
This is when he returns, which we talked about.
To the ground that he had burned in the past. Okay, so he went back to the band.
Yeah.
And they all laughed, and they said it never lasts.
Yeah, that's so, come on. They laughed, and they...
What?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing with, like, some of the press people. Like, we've seen on some of these... we've seen on some of these true crime things, like, they're not even, like, where is their humanity? They're talking about some girl, she got raped and murdered, and they're like talking about this information.
Oh yeah,
like,
I know. Because they got to break
the story. Like their humanity is lost.
Yeah.
And so here's this guy who was doing great things with his music, but he leaves it, and then he just Mojo, you can't make fun of me too.
Nah. You got numbers here. You got Emily. Like, tell him, Sori. Tell him about the drunk game, Sori. And Mojo's like, yeah, do that shit, nigga. Tell him about the drug game, nigga. You can school all these people. Lewiston, Maine, bitches up and down. What you know about that?
Well, I know a lot because, I have a black friend.
Yeah, she. She been on that gang shit, bro.
Anyway, so like here you have this guy. He's been through all that, and now he's returning. Like he's stopping the mess of his life that he was, and he's trying to return and go back to it. And then you're gonna laugh at him. Like why? Why couldn't the press just be like? Why wouldn't it be like a redemption story? You can't post a redemption. You're gonna laugh at the guy.
Yeah, it's just like Justin Bieber, man. Like when Justin Bieber first came out, like it was this little kid and he was like singing R&B music and everybody loved him, and then the press just completely turned on him and crucified him. It happens with literally every single celebrity. Happened to Brady. Happened to Jordan. Like it's and I think Lauryn Hill said it best. They'll hail you and then they'll nail you. But it's human. It's to me, it's both of our natures acting simultaneously on a person. So like, because we're created the image of God, and kind of like Emily said in the previous song, like when God does something good, he looks at it and he goes, "That was good. It's badass." And so, because of that, we all enjoy when things are done excellently. Because that's in our DNA. Yeah. And so when you see somebody that's not you, but they're doing it excellently, like if I'm doing something excellently, I can't see it because I'm in me. So other people have to tell me, "Yo, that was crazy." Then after that, I could say, "Oh, okay." But so what happens is I see a person, Justin Bieber. Oh, he's singing excellently. I'm gonna go. And I see him doing it, and I appreciate the beauty of what he's doing, so I recognize that, and I celebrate it, and that's how you become a celebrity. Mm-hmm. A celebrity is when people celebrate your excellence. But then, so that's the image of God in us. But then the sinful nature comes in and says, "Yeah, but it's not you. You're not being celebrated like that. Why should they be celebrated like that?" And then we immediately bring the knives out and start crucifying people. And it happens on a cycle. Somebody does something excellent. We love that they do it. We admire it, but they're getting all the attention. We don't like that, so we're going to crucify him so you can say, "Oh, you're just like us." So if you look there, he was at the top of the world. He lost it all. He burned the bridges as a rock star. People love that story. They love hearing that story. Now he's coming back. They don't want to celebrate it. They want to mock it. They want to be cynical because they don't want this guy to have this big comeback thing. Because, like one time LeBron James, he lost the NBA Finals one time. And everybody was like happy that he lost because people were such haters. And LeBron was like, "Well, in a week, I'm going to be in the Bahamas, with my family. And all these people are going to have to go back to their pathetic lives." And people were mad at him. "Oh my God, that's so arrogant, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, what do you mean? Of course, he's exactly right. He's going to the Bahamas. And if you're that small of a person that you want somebody to lose, you don't even know them, but you just want them to lose because you're personally jealous of them because he had the audacity to choose where he was going to work. Like, yeah, you have a pathetic life. You're absolutely a pathetic person if you take joy from that. I'm not saying if you're a fan and you're happy that your team won. That's not what he was addressing. He was talking about specific people who hated him just because he was LeBron James and was happy to see him fail. Well, if you're that petty of a person, you absolutely have a small life, and you'll probably never rise above your current circumstance to sniff the Bahamas. So I had no problem with him saying that. Uh-huh. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was making like $25,000 a year at the time. So it's not like I was, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, like that was like so real. But yeah, anyway, so that's the first half of the story. The media is doing all this crazy dumbness. So now he hooks up. So like now, so you got the media making fun of him, and then he's got this situation. Now he's run into it. It's one of those things where it's like you cannot escape your past sometimes. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
I know, yeah.
Like sometimes you can't escape your past.
I mean, I do think so, that.
Like, I just say, and then you go like, so the media was like mocking him in the previous song because like, oh, that was his. And now that he's actually successful and he shut up the media. Well, now look, he's got this guy coming in to collect. You see what I'm saying? Like, Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I mean, I do think that when you've made a lot of bad choices, just because you decide that you want to start over, like you don't necessarily get a start over. You have to start where you are from the backwards position that you are, and you have to work your way forward, and then you can get past that. So if you did owe that guy the money, that's not just going to disappear. So that should be in your head. If you stole from somebody when you were in that situation, you need to replace what you stole. If you know what I'm saying, like, you got to go back and right your wrongs. And you see that in the they have those, you know, the classes like the 10-step programs and Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that. Like, you have to write letters to the people, apologize for what you've done, and you've got to make right your wrongs. So that is part of the process. And I think that there's a certain level of respect that you can have for yourself when you do that, because you're like, okay, like, it's just another phase in the whole, like, it's one thing to say, oh, that was wrong, I'm going to change that. And, like, repentance is a whole nother thing, because you're like, okay, that was so wrong, I'm going to fix it to the best of my ability. Obviously, there's some stuff that can't be replaced. I mean, maybe you sold off somebody's heirloom for your drugs. You're not getting the heirloom back. So you're going to have to...
Or their car.
Or their car. Twice.
Right?
No, baby, if somebody sold the car,
Maybe somebody entrusted you with their vehicle, and then you sold it for drugs and never told them the truth. Not once. Right?
There's that.
There's that.
And every time this comes up, I say the same thing. This is a horrible situation, but for some reason, the comedy side of it happening, like, has that ever happened? Anybody in the stream, has anybody ever borrowed your car and sold it for drugs? No, probably not. It's happened twice to poor Vinny. I don't know what it is. It's like, can you see the comedy side of that?
I could
Like,
see the.
how does that-
I could see the. Well, the thing is one of them was like, "Yo, I got to tell you something. That time with the car, I sold it for drugs." That guy, I forgave him immediately, and I said, "We're never going to talk about this ever again. It's over. Don't bring it up to me ever again." But the other guy, man, fuck you for that shit. And the other guy,
yeah, let that be enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
But no, that's a good point. People think, well, I'm changed now, so all the shit that I did previously is just tabula rasa. No, the fuck it's not. No. Like, you once you started making all this money, think about it, because he says, like, yo, I was going to let it go, but now I'm seeing you're making all this money, so hold on for a second.
That's what I'm saying. He should have done that first.
You should have proactively went and got
Right.
that man his money. You got
Right.
your friend killed, bro. Honestly. Like, you got your friend killed.
That's the way I was seeing it. You know, that should have been, because he said that it's been a long time and your bills are past due. And when he was in that situation, like, he could have hounded him. I mean, the man was getting money somehow to feed his habits.
Right.
So he could have had somebody going and roughing him to get that money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't. He let him go through his whatever and then try to come out. And at that point, I think he should have handled his business.
Yeah, but he just got his man. So Sammy started dealing. DT started reeling as they tumbled on the floor. The furniture was flying. DT had thought of dying when Tex walked through the door. Now Tex wasn't waiting and without hesitation grabbed Sammy by the throat. Sammy started shaking and fried Santa bacon hanging on a coat. And he pulled out a knife. Yeah, man, you know, he's rumbling around in this fight, having this altercation about money that he legitimately owed the guy.
That's what I'm saying.
And he gets his friend killed. I mean, that's but again, like, when you're talking about addicts and addiction, like, that self accountability. Like, we know somebody that became part of the 12-step program, and it was bumpy, right, for like a year and a half.
Honey, we've known a lot of people in that situation. I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
No, we've got a specific person that's in a 12-step program. The kid just met.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
And
what about it? What was the thing?
It was bumpy, but like one of
Oh,
the major turning points for all of us was the accountability factor.
Yeah.
Like, she started saying, "This is my bad. This is my bad. This is what I'm going to do," and there were no excuses, no explanations, no nothing. It was this is where I'm at, because they had a big thing on. It's big on accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people that you just ran through and ran over and betrayed and all that shit, like, that you want to have because there's some people where I'm a big believer in not every relationship is supposed to be eternal this side of heaven, right? So, like, I'm a big believer, and there's some relationships where it's like, okay, that's over. I'll see you on the other side. Like,
I'm talking about people you still want to have a relationship with. If you still want to have a relationship with certain people, then you have to go back and say, yo, this, and that. Hey, you know what I'm saying? If you don't, that's cool, but you can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, for sure.
And the sad part about people like this is they're friends. It's really it. So, for example, we had this kid. He was ranked. His name was Maurice, but we used to call him Cheese. I've told the story a couple of times. We used to call him Cheese, but he was ranked in high school, and we had colleges, universities showing up to the ghetto to talk to Cheese, to watch him play. I mean, he was just in our neighborhood, like unbelievable talent. Now, I don't know if he could have made the NBA because I didn't really have the perspective. I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? He was just a big guy on the block. I mean, he was ranked, you know, and he would talk about his rankings. He pulled the paper out every week, and you know, to be in New York City and be at the top of the pile for your age in New York City for basketball is significant. Because, I mean, we're like ground zero for basketball. And on the other side, you had this guy named Ed, and Ed was smart. In my opinion, Ed was the smartest guy on the block, but he just wanted to be a gangster. Like, he wanted to, and I don't know if it was little man syndrome or whatever, but for perspective, he was shorter than me. So, but he was...
Like a lot shorter?
Yeah, significantly shorter than me. Huh? I can't hear what you're saying. Can't hear you. Oh, like Fortin?
Yeah. Oh
nah, not as small as Fortin, but somewhere in between there. But anyway, but Ed was like the guy in our hood. Like, he was the leader. He was the smallest guy, but he was so intelligent, hilariously funny, and everybody just like wanted to be around Ed. Well, Ed decided he was going to rob these kids from Taft for a jacket. Taft is a high school. You had Taft, you had Johnson, and then you had Truman. I went to Truman.
How much could this jacket have been worth?
Probably $150. It was a North Face. I mean, it was a, you know, plus it's New York. But here's the thing. Taft, literally, my zone school was Taft. We went to sign up, and my mother said, nope, he is not going to this school. Then I found out that Taft was training animals for tomorrow. That's what we all.
The acronym.
That's what everybody nicknamed. No, Taft was for the president, but.
Oh no, I know, but the acronym that.
But the acronym because these people were crazy, and Nietas in there. The gang Nietas were basically Latin King light. They were throwing people out of windows, no bullshit. So Ed decided he was gonna roll up on some Taft dudes, and at gunpoint rob somebody for their jacket.
Oh.
So Cheese and Ed are walking to the train station one day, and sure enough, them Taft boys rolled up on him. And that was the end of Cheese's hoop dreams. He got hit in the thigh, basically, and had to have all this surgery, barely made it out, and that was it. He couldn't move anymore, he couldn't play anymore.
Jacket, man.
And he had nothing. He had nothing to do with it. But that's what I'm saying. It's like when you're that kind of person and you're so self-absorbed, your friends get caught up in the crossfire, and you know, like Ed, I don't know where he is right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where Cheese is right now. And like I said, I don't know if Cheese could have made the NBA, but at least he could have got like into a Canadian league. You can make good money overseas playing basketball. There's a lot of like NBA players that will leave the NBA and play overseas if you get enough money in China and things like that. So Cheese, he had a future. At minimum, even if he didn't make the NBA, he was going to get a D1 scholarship. It would have given him 4 years of free college.
That's so
and his entire life, the trajectory of his entire life was completely changed because Ed decided he wanted to G somebody for their jacket. And like the worst possible people. I mean, we were in a bad neighborhood, so he assumed, and we were deep in our neighborhood, so he assumed that nobody would ever come to our neighborhood and do it. But they didn't come to our neighborhood. You still have to go to the train station. So the train station was like 5 blocks away, you know, from where we were. So you're outside of our hood. Like you're out, like, yeah, no, those guys never rolled up in our hood directly. But nobody ever did that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And like it didn't process in his head like, dudes can still catch you. You know what I'm saying? But Anyway.
That is so friggin' sad.
So that's what I was thinking when I was like looking at that song. I'm like, so this text guy ends up getting the brunt of this guy's bullshit. Like, if you're making all that money, you should have fucking paid that guy back immediately. You know what I'm saying?
Why are you gonna wait? Why are you gonna wait? And the fact that he had to show up means you owe him an apology. I'm sorry. You're completely right. I'm gonna get you that money. Here's a way to start.
Holy
you know
shit!
What I mean?
They closed Taft in 2008.
Wow.
I'm telling you, Taft was bad. Training hours to my shit was horrible. I didn't know they shut it down though. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you guys saw the picture, the security cameras and all this shit. I was in a good school. Mm-hmm. I was in a good school. Dudes getting chopped up, sliced up, shot up. Girls. Anyway, this went way too long, but there was just the lyrics just put me in like a completely. There's a lot of stuff that's being said on this record that is really significant. Yeah. That if you really take the time to think about what he's saying, and if you look at the overarching story, there's a lot of real nuggets of life wisdom there. If you can really look at what's being said,
I agree.
There's a lot here than just wow, these are good, musicians who've mastered the craft. Obviously that, but how many people are going to like craft a story like this where it's like, yeah, that's a great comeback story. Like most of us would end it at the comeback. Like, yeah, you made it to the stage and end it there. And it's like, no, in the real world, that's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how it works on TV. This right here is like real grimy, real world shit. So shout out to Mojo for this. Shout out to this band. This is a 9.9 for me. I'm putting both songs together. 9.9 for me, dear listener. What do you give it?
I think I'm going to match you. Yep, I'm going to match you on that one. 9.9. Very, very well done. Wow.
John Oliver's a lyrical genius. Yeah, I mean, if he's the guy that wrote the lyrics here, like, people throw that word around, but there's, like I said, there's a lot of, and I'm sure I've missed, like, 48% of the other nuggets of wisdom. I'm sure if we did this again, we'd find the same thing. But anyway, shout out to Charles Benson. Shout out to Mojo. It's a 9.9. We've got another song on the way, and don't
touch that dial.
Touch that dial, because tomorrow, is it same time, same bad channel?
6 o'clock.
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're not going to be late next time, Mojo. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is for tomorrow, where we will conclude the album. Right now, we're going to song number 8 on the track. We will see you on the other side of the break.
No, it's not song 9.
Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Down.